Welcome back, guys. And if you haven't seen already, we've got 2 new additions to the office. So today's video, we're going to be covering mainly reverse dieting, but specifically going into like post-show, diet management, and ultimately like mindset tips when it comes to managing that reverse period so that one, you can get everything back to normal, but secondly, make sure you come out of the diet or prep process that you've been through with a positive experience. As it's so common these days that we'll see a very successful prep or diet and it ends up often being ruined by that reverse or post-show phase where it's maybe not handled as well as it could be, not through lack of effort, through lack of understanding. I'm going to break down what I see a post-show period as, or a reverse period in terms of how it actually looks. So what we're trying to do post-diet. First and foremost, we're trying to get food a little bit higher. If you finish the diet, if you finish the prep, your hunger is going to be high. We know that's a given. We know that, I don't want to say mental burnout, but if you've dieted for a significant period of time, you're going to be at a point where you need something different. You can't continue that dieting process. Your body needs something different. Your mind needs something different. So managing that reverse process comes down to getting the food higher, getting health and hormones back in play, and ultimately restoring potentially a little bit of balance from that intense prep period. Now, how do we go about this? Typically, a reverse phase will consist of 2 things. One, tapering down of output, whether that's reducing or removing cardio, or steps in that instance, and increasing food. So whether that's carbohydrates, protein, fats, the overall food needs to be going up in that process. So that is what a post-show reverse period is. And the reason that I've mentioned that is because the whole idea of a reverse diet or post-show can often be overthought. And this is a section that I'll touch on later on, is that the language you use for your reverse diet, post-show phase, whatever it is, really doesn't matter. All you are doing is tapering off of output and increasing food. So we'll cover that in a second. Now, first thing to go into is mindset when it comes to a reverse. Now, as you guys know, I'm big on mindset. And how you mentally approach this is so important. How many times have you either said yourself or you've heard someone say, I'm scared about the reverse diet, or I'm scared about the post-show? If you come into it with a mindset where you're worried about how that phases go, or you think you're going to slip up in that phase, you're going to follow that process. So you need to go into that with a solid mindset saying, I'm going to smash the reverse. I've just dieted for X amount of weeks. I can control myself. I've built this discipline. I've built these habits, and really reaffirm all these positive, strong thoughts, as that will carry into that second phase post-diet. Now, mindset management. When it comes to labeling and phases, this is so important, because I actually break this down to clients, right? When we understand what a reverse diet or a post-show phase is, it's literally what you've been doing. It's training, sticking to variables when it comes to water and steps, and it's eating your meals. It is nothing more complex than that. If we associate different phases with different feelings, that's when the problem occurs. And what I mean by that is if we associate a diet or a calorie deficit with feeling good, discipline, feeling good in your body, often when the calories then go up, it causes a complete mental switch. So you instantly think, because I'm in a surplus, I don't feel as good, my energy may not be great, and you can easily disassociate the 2 processes and have a complete different mindset towards them both. So one thing I always encourage clients or yourself watching this video is see the process as the same level. Whether you're dieting, whether you're gaining, the process is exactly the same. And this then helps when you go into that phase in not having a huge mindset shift towards the process. So again, to recap on the mindset management, make sure you tell yourself it's going to be positive, reaffirm everything that you've done through that diet which is strong, and carry that into the reverse phase. Second, just because your variables are changing, whether that's steps or cardio, do not label the second phase as something which is seen as negative. Label it as a positive experience that you're going into to improve your strength, eat more food, and overall regain some balance. Mistakes and lessons. Like everything in bodybuilding, we learn from our mistakes. So if it is a case you do slip up post-show, or you do end up eating something which isn't on plan post-diet, do not stress. Approach the following day or the following meal as normal. This is where we can see a spiral. If you do end up having a little bit more or something that's not on your plan, do not worry. It's not the end of the world. You are not going to ruin that reverse diet or ruin that post-show phase from one meal or a touch more food. Realign your mindset, get back on track, and continue the process. We only learn from our mistakes, as I said. So do not let one slip up or one mistake change your attitude or mindset towards that process. Continue as per, get back on plan. Be patient. Realize that the process that you've gone through has taken you 10, 12, potentially 20 weeks. It's not a case that as soon as this prep or diet finishes, things are going to change massively. As I said earlier, it's the same process. So allow yourself to be patient through that reverse period and say, right, it may not be now, but my food will get high. My cardio will get lowered. Understand that bodybuilding is a patient journey. It's not something where things change instantly. So allowing yourself and your body that time to just go through that period slowly is going to be the best way you can manage that process. So be mindful about what you're planning post-show. Be mindful about what it is that you're booking in social occasion-wise. Make sure that you just plan a little bit of time post-show for you to just settle. You've gone through an intense prep or an intense diet. Give yourself that breathing space just to settle, allow the process and routine to play out a little bit longer. Then later on down the line, once things are set, food's higher, output's lower, hormones are in a better place, you can then start planning things in and re-establishing that balance. So some takeaways and things to apply. One thing I find extremely useful myself is planning in a period of time after that diet or that prep to make sure you can still do the same process and keep in routine. Routine is so crucial towards making sure this goes smooth. I'm going to guess if you've been in a prep or a diet, your routine's been very similar for a matter of weeks and months. So keeping that routine is so essential. That is your foundation for making sure that runs smooth. So again, allowing yourself that time after the diet to plan in and schedule the routine to be exactly the same. If you start waking up later, if you start doing different things, that's when again that routine breaks down and then you'll find the variables become harder to stick to. Keep the same mindset, same attitude, and that all stems from routine. So making sure you plan in a period of time post-show or post-diet to make sure everything stays the same. And I know that can be frustrating as again, you finished that diet, you finished that prep, and you want a little bit more normality, but that will come. You do the hard bit first, and then you reap the rewards later when the food is higher, the body composition is the same, and you've been able to mentally approach that process in a positive way. So planning in at least 6 to 8 weeks after your show or your diet to make sure that you're in a position where you can keep everything exactly or very close to the same. Now, quite closely linked to this is booking in photo shoots, booking in events, things that can hold you accountable. You've been accountable towards a goal now for 12, 14, 20 weeks. So resetting that next goal is so important. You need to have something else to work to. We know that building muscle and that off-season process is a long period of time. And you need that instant goal. You've been working towards a show, you've been working towards a shoot, making sure you have something to look forward to pretty instantly after that is so important. So as I say, photo shoots, events that you want to look and feel a specific way for, having these things planned in is going to keep you accountable, keep your mindset locked in, and again, not creating a huge difference between the two phases. Post-show journaling. Now, this one sounds a little bit funky, but what you need to remember is you've gone through a process where you've been a little bit detached physically from mentally. And what I mean by that is you'll often, in the process of a diet or a prep, become so tunnel vision and so tunnel focused that you'll forget to stop and actually take in the position that you're in. And one thing I found so helpful with my reverse diet or post-show was making sure that after that was all finished, I sat down and I actually took in the position I was in. Because it's easy to go from a tunnel visioned and focused state to easily dropping off. So sometimes sitting there and being like, right, I've just achieved this. I've lost this amount of weight. I'm in this condition. I'm in this shape. Really taking in the position that you're in and actually being present there will help you then manage that. Because if you've been, as I say, tunnel vision, focused for a long period of time, going from that to then having that next long-term goal that may be 1, 2, 3 years away can seem daunting and you can easily lose your focus. So grounding yourself, sitting down, writing down everything that you've achieved, the discipline, the focus, and as I say, being present in that current body will allow you to then carry that into that diet with the same discipline and same mindset as you've allowed yourself to be present and grounded yourself with what it is you've achieved. That one's important. Next one's going to be thinking long term. Making sure that, again, initially you're detaching what it is that you want instantly from what it is you need long term. And what I mean by that is you've got to think of the bigger picture in the sense of you need to get your hormones back to normal. You need to get your food high. You don't want to be doing hours and hours of cardio. So thinking that, right, I dedicate this next 6 to 8 weeks to making sure this goes as smooth as possible. You're then going to be in a position where after that's complete in that 6 to 8 week period, your food's going to be high, your output's going to be lower, and you've managed that process perfectly. It's very, very easy to slip up after a diet phase or after a show and get yourself in a position where you're having to diet again in 8 to 10 weeks, or you're having to be very, very slow with your food increases because you're eating the things off plan, it's not the sustainable setup. It will leave you in a position where you feel uncomfortable. It won't be worth it. You'll see all of the work that you've put in be quickly diminished. So again, it's about thinking long term, ignoring these instant things that can catch your attention, whether that's food, social occasions you couldn't do before. Again, allowing yourself that time to think long term, not instantly, is going to make sure it runs smooth. And the last bit to touch on, guys, is realizing that every time you go through this process, as I say, whether it is a prep, whether it is a diet, it gets easier every time you do it. There's a reason that you see experienced and seasoned athletes get better year after year with control, with focus, with no ups and downs with that prep and off-season process, because you become normalized to it. The feelings that you experience once post-diet get easier next time round and easier the following. Like everything in life, the longer you do something, the easier it gets. So if you have had a perfect post-show or reverse diet, it's only going to get better. If you haven't had the best experience or you haven't managed it as well as you could have done, it's only going to get better from there. So remembering that whatever position that you're in, it's only going to improve and it's only going to get better if you sit back, reflect, and ask yourself what you could have done different next time. Apart from that, guys, that's a wrap. Hope that video helps. If anybody's currently going through their post-show phase and would like any help, any assistance, drop me a message on Instagram. And alternatively, anybody that's been through this same experience, pop below in the comments what helped you and what made it easier. Thanks for watching, guys.